Right, I hate appearing a mess. Everything here, which has got literally nothing to do with me. It's about performing. Oh, I'm some heroic person who puts a dog at the centre of everything. Right. It's got nothing to do with anything. What if I turn the camera on? Oh, that shouldn't be on. Just for fun. Yeah, I hate being a mess. I just wake up in the morning. When you let go, when you actually, unfortunately though, it's like a new encounter who's thrilling and though is of almost 2/3 of a generation down from me who wants to write and communicate about what she encounters in the so-called heterodox space of. I think I can risk turning this off now. Of the, well, it's no longer the new media, it's how the 40-year-old gets the information on the world. She's a bit lost to it, but she's going to be a great mind. She's a born and bred. She's astonishing. Anyway, forget her. Probably never encounter her again. I do care about what they are encountering. I set about a little mission, a sort of side mission, 10 years ago. I need to understand what the new, well, so-called new politics is. So-called, or as it became, woke, etc. I need to understand it. And the point is, it is so shabby. And I'm going to give a good example, but I'm afraid to say you need to do a certain amount of work if you want to kind of follow it. I've been doing the work for quite a long time. Just occasionally, not assiduously, just as the time allows. What matters, though, is just being totally and utterly the proof that one arrived. Even more so in the last few years. Yeah, just parked up here. It's lovely here. Wake up, 5:30, stillness. I'd much rather put a recording up that I made at 5:30 of an owl screeching. Just an owl and the river. But then it's like, just spit it all out. Create, if one wants to use the fancy word. Now, am I going to have enough battery? Yeah, I just literally live on at the same time. And this is, you can use the word discipline. No, it's just, if you're on a kind of a crusade, a minor crusade that you know is good and healthy, then you have your life arranged round by, right, I've got to get a little bit of charge in there, and that's got a bit of charge. That's my speaking phone. This one is no good for anything. This is basically just a camera, this phone. Camera and modem, that's all I can use it for. It's broken. But camera and modem. But it's the audio I made this morning is like, just say it like it is. If there's some possible way of guiding somebody into just thinking about... I would write 7 or 8 years ago, we have fascism light. Now I notice I wouldn't be so grandiose as to say, Yanis Varoufakis has copied me, because he now uses that phrase, fascism light. It is the correct term, but what does it mean? That's the difficult bit. How do you quantify? I mean, tragically in a way, so I've made an audio. about the only person who I've encountered who refers to the Jewish Illuminati being in charge of everybody is the man who was a school friend of mine. I still consider him a friend, but I need to be able to speak out. And he's about the only person I've ever heard. He presents himself as Mr. Ultra Progressive, or rather... Your Alex Belfields and people like that have done damage, because they also pimp, they prostitute a wrong version of Britain and ethnicity, etc., etc. Ethnicity is the wrong word. Cultural politics. They prostitute a wrong version of that. And yes, it can infect certain people. But the reality is, the only person I've ever heard you refer to, the Jewish Illuminati who own the Rothschilds. So the only person I've heard, I know actually quite a few people would almost jokingly speak of, well, the Rothschilds owned everything. But the only person I've heard actually say that in 40 years is a really decent man. Who actually is quite a caring, decent person. The media landscape damages, but the problem is that even the ones at the top, with the exception of Eric Weinstein and actually his brother Brett and Heather Hailing, they're about the only ones that haven't fallen into all of these stupid traps. And it matters because they are. If I was 25 now, I used to, or between 25 and 30, I would pop to Waterstones, not privileged, but I would spend, instead of going to spend my money in the pub, I would spend my £20 a week spare on a few books. Michael Ignatieff, people like that. Unfortunately, me, aged 25 to 30 now, is going to be mainly turning to these easier to consume forms of supposed learning. They're not. None of them. I've been listening out. I've been looking for which are the good ones. If I had a 25-year-old who I wanted to refer her into, or him, into some intelligent discourse or analysis of humanity, who are the good ones? The only good one is Eric Weinstein, but he went silly 4 or 5 years ago. Oh, I've got nothing to say anymore, really. Sort of slight self-pitying. Anyway, we've got some, that's getting charged up now. Let's get on with the day, which is just about put my stuff up.